All right, folks. REMCO Real Talk. REMCO Real Talk with Pete Fournier. Little introduction about Pete. Pete's my mentor. He's one of the guys in the insurance space that I look up to, and it's an honor to have him on the show today. There's a lot that we're going to get into. There's a lot that I'm going to touch on in the beginning about generating genuine relationships. My relationship with Pete started about 5 years ago in Texas. We met at an 8% Nation conference. Shout out to Cody and his team. Kind of brought us like-minded individuals together. Pete was on stage. I don't know how much he got paid for up there to talk about his big game. And he brought a really good crowd and brought a really good presence. And he asked a question during the show. And I was bold enough to answer it and run up on stage in front of a couple thousand people and grab some cash from this man's hand. So I knew Pete was a winner from day one. And now I'm bringing him to REMCO Real Talk to share his experience. So Pete, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Jay. Appreciate it. Yeah, man. Like one of the only people in the audience that knew the 5 Ps of planning.
There you go.
Told the audience to read a book after.
harder to pronounce them all in order than to remember them.
Yeah. Yep.
So Pete, now that we've had about a year's worth of a working relationship, and for those listening, Pete and I have built something since October. October, we started transacting business. We knew each other for 5 years. And I want to touch on what it's like actually working with somebody like Pete, who does what he says, he leads by example, and he makes money. Right? There's a lot of people that you'll meet in this industry who talk a big game, but when it comes to actually showing the money being made, this man literally takes photos of his direct deposits from his companies. The guy makes money. And when you work with him, you make money and you make money together. So Pete, I've been having such a great time. My team has been having such a great time working with you since October. And I'm proud to say we've closed over $100,000 worth of business. That's a fact. So for those listening who want to make money, listen to this podcast, listen to this man. I'm going to start with the topic that Pete kind of brands himself on and all things insurance group kind of falls under. And that's the Swiss Army knife mentality. Pete, can you go into that a little bit for the listeners?
Yeah. So I actually talked about this last week at a conference. So it's perfect segue. I got into the Swiss Army game or approach for a couple different reasons. One mainly was for retention. A long time ago, I got hit with like $50,000 of roll-up debt on the life insurance side. And I was depressed. I had to live in mom's basement, all this shit. And I was like, why is it so bad? One, yeah, you could get into overselling or selling above and beyond people's means. But realistically, I didn't have enough prongs in the household. So I personally started learning Medicare, learning group benefits, learning ACA, learning privatized health, retirement planning, annuities, etc. And what I found was if I could have more than 3 policies per person, so spouse in a house, let's say 6, total per household, my retention was over 93%. So I was like, why is no one training on this? And I found some pitfalls, right? It's a lot to learn over the course of your career. But ultimately, if you're not taking that approach, you're being commoditized in some way, shape, or form, and you're not going to have the satisfaction from the client's perspective that you should or would like to have.
Interesting. And it's no different on the PNC side, which I know that we kind of pass that back and forth. It's the stickier the accounts. If you're going to get the home, there's no reason not to get the auto. There's no reason not to get the ring or the jet ski. And we've ran into some pain points, you and I, to figure out that personalized product on a national level. For those listening, Pete and I kind of work really, really well on a national level within commercial insurance. REMCO is specialized in commercial insurance, small, medium, and large. And we have multiple clients in multiple different states. I think we have 38 states right now that we're licensed in, and Pete has helped us get almost one product or more than one product in each of those states. So the commercial product has been good for us. We're competitive in that product. But for those listeners who are selling home and auto insurance at an independent space, not your captives, not your Gooseheads, not your State Farms, not your captives, but your independent space, please reach out to Pete or myself because we are actively looking for home and auto agents that are domiciled in some of these funky states out there. And I know that's been kind of something that we're trying to figure out, Pete, right?
Yeah, and it's so I don't know shit when it comes to PNC. I sold surety bonds for a hot second as a W-2. But beyond that, I don't know anything. So, which is why I leverage you guys. But on the personal line side, it's so needed. And I think it's become more and more commoditized over time. And maybe that's why people don't want to produce it. But it's so needed to put in perspective for the listeners because they're like, how many referrals could I get?
Mhm.
We got 186 requests so far for home and auto in the month of August.
Unreal.
So like,
It just makes me, it makes me sweat a little bit. It makes me sweat because, and we're really going to be raw about this. You know, Pete has sent so much good quality business in, and we're always able to deliver on the commercial product. And Pete's team is amazing at the benefit side, and he's tackling all that. But it's like, hey, can you also write my, my supercar or my, $2 million home? Like these are very, very affluent individuals. And back to your point, Pete, if we're not able to get that, that opens us up to vulnerability. Somebody else can come in and grab those products, and then who knows who they might know to cross-sell the products that we're priding ourselves in. So All Things Insurance Group is a really great name, and it's something that I've continued to wrap my head around. Just being able to offer as many products as possible. And if you cannot, or you don't have the bandwidth, or you don't have the capital at the time, leverage other agents around the globe. And that's really where like our relationship has kind of prospered.
yeah, the consumer, like, even though Jay and I don't share the same EIN, it's really within the same family. And
Mhm.
that's really what the consumer is looking for. I don't personally, granted, we're in the space, so it's maybe a little different, but like, I don't want to go to State Farm and then Geico and then Joe Schmo Insurance and then this guy for
Yeah.
my life and my health. Like, what a pain in the ass. So if they could come in and whatever's happening behind the scenes, as long as it's getting done and there's a consorted approach presenting everything at once, the customer loves you.
Exactly.
So if you're not in that multifaceted approach or not leveraging referral partners or not reaching out to Jay and I, you're missing out on a lot of opportunity that's very easy to pick up.
Sure. And then to take it to the next step, you've automated this process too. I want to get into the RMS because you not only, again, talk the talk, walk the walk, you've spent a lot of money building out an infrastructure that can kind of put everybody under one symbiotic relationship and communicate. So, for those listening, Pete and his team have built out a very, very proficient RMS, relationship management system, where he coins you're a part of the ATIG family. So there's like that warm and cozy feeling as well. But you really are a member of this large insurance conglomerate where there's a bunch of people who can actually get products sold and taken care of. So let's talk about that RMS a little bit because I've been a part of it for about a year, and it's helped.
Yeah. So we developed it probably 15, 16 months ago, started with like a pipe dream idea. But really it started with the inception of it was how can the ATIG brokers, because we have about 480 nationally that work for ATIG in some capacity under our branding or their own. How can they joint work with each other? Because Joey may not know how to sell annuity, and Jerry doesn't know how to do infinite banking with whole life, et cetera. So could we have a place where they can raise their hand and say, hey, I need help with XYZ, and someone else within the same umbrella who's not going to poach your clients and everything because we have oversight over the whole ecosystem can say, hey, happy to help you. Here's the joint work opportunity, 50-50, 60-40, whatever it is. And it gets done. And again, the client has the same experience because they're dealing with ATIG as a whole. So when we brought Jay and his team into it, it made it so easy because we get requests from the website, we get email requests, we get texts, etc. But all this reaching out flows through our relationship management system. So if it has anything to do with commercial P&C, Jay's team automatically gets it. Mm-hmm. So granted, we have some one-offs that like they reach out to me directly and I CC Jay on an email or something like that. But ultimately, if the request comes into All Things Insurance Group as a whole, boom, it gets pinged out automatically in real time.
Amazing. And I will say, even during the grassroots process, 15 plus months, and wait, let me rewind. The guy has 400 plus agents under him. I mean, if you are listening to this and you have a team of 10, like listen to this man. He has 400 agents around the globe under his umbrella. I mean, think of the residual, but very successful. So Pete has built something, and I will say, even though he has 400 plus agents around the globe, when I was getting to know this RMS, he was in the trenches with me learning it. I know that, we've manually passed leads and you were just like, I can't be doing this anymore. I'm getting like 20 a day. Like we have to automate this process. But knowing that the end goal was to automate this and be able to have the RMS take over, you were kind of the pioneer to make sure it worked properly and that there were the right amount of touch points. I love the fact that the updates that you get throughout the selling process, that's great. Anybody who sends a referral out obviously wants to be in the know, but not fully involved. with the relationships that they're sending out. So yeah, hats off to that. I just wanted to take a minute to just bring that up. And for those listeners, again, home and auto agents, Pete and I currently do have a bit of a sticking point where we're looking for home and auto agents in some of those unusual states. And anybody who doesn't know Pete, he does coaching. He's very available to kind of shed the light on what he knows. Reach out to us. We're very approachable. Pete, I'm very impressed with how approachable you are and how willing you are to give your time and your wisdom. So I appreciate that.
No, absolutely. Appreciate the relationship with you guys too. And shameless plug. If someone has a national relationship on the PNC side, we'll close that shit up.
Yeah.
If you do home and auto in 48 contiguous or all 50 states, it's you, buddy, until you fuck up.
Pretty much. And we'll go off that too. I mean, these relationships cost money, and a lot of what Pete has done and the ability to get to be on stage in front of those rooms of people, it's built on positive relationships. And maybe get into this a little bit, Pete, but as you've gone across your career, it really is results driven. And if you're providing value and you're dealing with the right people, it always makes more enjoyable if you enjoy who you're working with. But at the end of the day, we're all trying to get from A to B in a result driven industry. How do you feel like in terms of making, hiring decisions and referral partner relationships? Where do you really draw the line, or how do you establish them?
Yeah. In the beginning, everything sounded good. You start to make these relationships maybe 4 years into your career, 5 years, you get out of the personal production side of things or limit that and start building your ecosystem or your network. And a lot of the times, I'm even a proponent of this. I was being sold on, refer us this and do that. And it was not so much mutually exclusive. And this goes for vendors, partners, even people in your downline or hierarchy. It was being sold. And one thing that I started to do really well is take an introspective approach and say, what do we really need, but simultaneously can bring value at the same time? So it is mutually exclusive, because where relationships fall apart is it becomes one-sided, whether you're referring out all the business and getting nothing back, or they're screwing up your relationships, or whatever the case may be. So what do we need, and what can we give to get it? Whether it's referrals, it's comp, it's the reverse. So it's a glorified math problem. One, you have to like and trust the people that you're doing business with. But two, there has to be give and take. You can't expect to do everything and, take none of the comp. And then simultaneously, you can't expect to do absolutely nothing and get 90% of it. It doesn't make any sense.
No, that's perfect.
If you could solve the math problem and you trust the person, you're good to go.
Yeah, good feedback. And as well, I guess earlier on, you're also paying for the exposure, right? Like you might have, ridden certain brands or names to get your name out there, to understand, this is Pete and this is what he does. So I think that early on, you are really buying more than you're selling. You're trying to build that brand out there. So what I've learned too is, in terms of marketing your brand, just make sure it's very in line from the brand name, All Things Insurance, to what you're getting towards. And you continue to try to branch out. So what is next for All Things Insurance Group? I know a few things in the pipeline, but what's on the horizon?
Yeah, so I was always pretty big in the B2B space. I'm not like a USI or Gallagher or anything. It was just Pete Fournier, and maybe an admin. But I loved B2B. I like putting on a nice suit and going to pitch HR, all that stuff. So it became too cumbersome for me alone, wearing the CEO hat, and I can't personally produce on the B2B side that much anymore. So eventually I hired, now after probably 11 years of knowing each other, Lauren Papari, and she is our president of B2B. So now on the horizon is Lauren's building out a training platform and a comp structure so we can actually recruit to that side of the business, as opposed to a lot of the B2B clients that we received in the past either came from PNC relationships that we had, or it came from our internal brokers. Like, oh, my uncle's got a restaurant, he's got 13 people, help, Yeah. But we can actually go to market and actually, one, advertise that we're a B2B focused firm with Lauren's division, and two, bring on brokers to that division. And our value prop stems from the B2C side. So most B2B, do not go to B2C and
Yeah.
vice versa. So the RMS will allow for that cross-selling opportunity going forward. So really excited about the group benefits.
Such good foresight. I mean, shout out to Lauren. I look forward. She's going to come into our office next week. New Jersey, local. You know, we're in Mount Laurel. I think she lives in Mount Laurel or close to us. So I think too, going with certain people, no matter where you meet them. Like, again, I met Pete in Texas, but he's, you know, his roots trans back to New Jersey and he's in the Carolinas now, but everything kind of pans out and makes sense. Lauren coming into the business at this point, and for her to get to know my team in person, the ability to meet in person is big. You know, it's big because since 2008, REMCO's really been the backbone of PA, New Jersey, the tri-state areas, B2B. You know, I'm excited for her to now offer products in the benefits side that we weren't able to really offer at this time. So I think sometimes when relationships start, you don't know who's going to be the giver and who's going to be the taker. And it takes time, but you have to be intentional. I mean, I'm appreciative of all the wisdom that Pete has given me. I mean, I've paid Pete money to talk to him for an hour. I mean, it's worth it. It's worth it. You know, you have skin in the game. Don't balk at the prices. You know, generally, if you believe in someone and what they're doing, they're not going to be cheap. Spend the money, learn what they're doing, and then, you know, try to build something together. I'm always trying to figure out how can I continue to provide Pete value, whether it's just taking care of his clients, which I know is probably the forefront, making sure that we deliver on what we say we can do, but also then trying to figure out other avenues to market his services and let him know that, you know, I'm reaching out on his behalf to try to make good connections. So if you're in a relationship with somebody that you feel like, oh, well, how am I gonna, you know, pay this person back? How is this quid pro quo gonna work? Just be intentional and have some conversations with these people. Hey, I really appreciate the past 5 or 6 months of you sending us good business. What can I do to help you at this time? You'd be surprised. Sometimes it's just, you know, either showing up to an event and support or marketing their services on a platform, whether it's social or a podcast or something like that. But just try, as long as they know you're trying, I think that's important.
And like optimize the relationship. You know, like we went through like growing pains, we went through stepping stool, but like we were also on calls together. Like I felt like 10, 15 hours a week sometimes, trying to better the process for both us, our exclusive companies, and the customer journey as a whole. So it's not like you're going to go out, we're going to high five. You're just going to work right away. Just like anything, you got to work on the relationship, whether it's, you know, spousal or business wise. So it just makes sense to put in the effort.
Absolutely.
See what it turns into.
So if you follow Pete on social, great. If you don't, definitely follow this guy, because I want to touch on the culture that you built in that office over the past maybe year, 6 months, the young team that you brought on. Like I was fired up watching you, like, you know, with the sales board and watching some of these young guys and girls. They were there till like, you know, 7, 8 at night and celebrating their wins. But also you posted something a couple weeks back, not necessarily being the leader who's giving the barking orders, but getting in the trenches with the actual salespeople themselves so that they can see that, it's a joint effort. But tell us a little bit about what your experience has been like onboarding all those new agents, being in the office with them, in the trenches, making sales. Did that kind of bring you back?
Yeah, it was fun. Like I started at 21, so I was in their seat. So it's fun because you get to negate some of the excuses. I had homework. Dude, I started the same time you did. Like I get it, but also picking up over the last 15 years of what I did and did not want as a producer in this space, and allowing them to have a better opportunity than I did coming into it. I feel like I wasted a solid half decade through trials and tribulations that I had to figure out on my own, versus saying, yo, here's the blueprint, either follow it or, you know, you'll fail out. Either way, but all you got to do is copy and paste. It's not rocket science. And I didn't really have that growing up in the industry. So being able to like bestow that on them is pretty fun. And like some work, some don't. And, you know, it's okay. You're not going to retain everybody, especially on the production side. But as long as you have something that they can actually follow, the cream will rise to the top, you know, as much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we had a familiar face on here. He came in person because he's a Jersey guy, and Luke Akery from Reminder Media.
Oh, sure.
So we had him on the show.
Texas.
Yeah, he's excellent. Like, and talk about a guy who still like rolls up his sleeves and runs a table. Like he's great. But we had him in the studio only because he's so local, and he's somebody, again, I met through the 8% Nation Network, but you know, he's so good at really staying in contact with his relationships. I mean, his brand is those touch points, and he lives that brand. But what I would say is that with social's made it a lot easier to interact and meet people like yourself, like Luke. And Luke, in a way, has given me a playbook as well. He's helped me with some of our marketing at REMCO, and he gave me some plays. He says, you can run these, they'll work, but you got to do them. You know, I give these to everybody who they read them, but they don't do them. Similar to, I guess, what you're doing with your agents, you're giving them that playbook. And it's so valuable. In this industry, it's so scalable if you just learn the right way to do things and how to scale the business. So I don't know, do you feel like social maybe has helped young agents like your team, like get access to people like yourself or like Luke who can provide them those plays?
I think it does two things. I think one, it makes it the easiest it's ever been to transact business and be successful in this industry. And two, it makes you really fucking lazy.
Yeah.
When agents come, whether it's on a coaching call or it's like some in our hierarchy or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, it's been 2 weeks. Like I just haven't gotten in front of anybody. And then I look at their like Instagram handle and they have 3 followers and they never post. Like you have a free billboard on like 11 different platforms now. So you could enter this space. Like I remember spending like $2-3 grand a week on leads. You don't even have to do that of it anymore. You could go live for 45 minutes and talk about life insurance and probably pick up 3 or 4 deals. But to your point, you just have to do it. And most people just don't want to, which is...
Or they get in their head, you know, all your content. I mean, your content is either you in the office, you driving home from the office, you're in the car, like, and I know you have such a good presence about you. And maybe that is because of your past. I mean, you were in theater and you were in acting, and I mean, you're just a good guy on camera. But I will tell you, somebody like myself who was a little bit nervous to do something like that, you get more comfortable the more you do it. Just do it.
Yeah, like if
just do it. You know,
my first video I ever posted was like 2016, like on YouTube, Instagram or whatever, and it was dog shit. Got like 11. It was like horrible. But like you could watch yourself progress, and then you get to the point where like, you know, don't be egregious, but like, I don't give a shit. So positive or negative, it's all engagement. So who cares?
It's so true. And people like the raw content more. And shout out to the studio I'm in. I have to bring it up because I'm somebody who there's a resource for everything. You said we live in this world where everything is at your fingertips. I don't have the to build a podcast studio. So I drove 10, 15 minutes from my home to Sweet Recording Studio in Mount Laurel. Joe and his team, they do all this. They make it simple. If you're willing to spend a little bit of money to get a good polished product or something that doesn't look like you made it in your basement, spend the money. Yeah. You know, spend the money. So, you know, if you don't have the know-how, there's resources. If anybody is, you know, a new agent and they're wondering how to get their brand out there, feel free, reach out, DM me, DM Pete. We're happy to help. The other piece to that is, you know, making sure that that team that you have is always hungry. After this podcast, I'm going back to the Southampton office and we're going over sales objection flashcards because I saw them on Instagram. I was in bed and I bought them. I don't know. Instagram ads always get me like when I'm like waking up and when I'm sleeping. They're probably $30 overpriced. I probably didn't need to buy them, but I bought, you know, a couple decks of these sales objection cards. And I want to make sure that these agents are constantly challenged, and curious what strategies maybe you bring on, Pete, to your office to kind of keep these agents hungry and energetic and excited, or are you more or less the type of individual who says you either got it or you don't?
Well, it's a little bit of both. You got to nurture to an extent. I have found that like I worked at 2 captives when I first started out, and you know they had hoorah meetings every day, and like after 6-7 weeks, you're like, I would rather hang myself than do that. 2 clap bullshit.
I can't do them.
So like, you know, a team huddle once a week, once every 2 weeks kind of thing, going over all case design, product knowledge, etc. But also a very important thing that like I'll kind of set and forget is I have a goal setting exercise that I've been doing since like 2018. And if listeners want to steal it, go steal it. But essentially you take a piece of paper or your fancy remarkable, and at the top you write your why. And you do this once a month on the 1st of every month. And I make our agents do it. And if they don't do it, you can tell in their production. So you write down your why. It should be long, like 3 or 4 sentences at least. Like, why are you in this business? Why are you working at ATIG? That kind of thing. And then what are your fixed expenses? Because most agents get distraught because they don't know how much they're spending. Like, if you're spending $6 a day on Starbucks, stop. If you need marketing, you know what I mean? So what are your fixed rate? What's your comfort zone income? Because that'll keep you mentally sharp. Like, how much do I need that? I'm not big swinging, driving a Bugatti, but like when my feet hit the floor in the morning, I could be stressed about something, but it's not money, right? Comfort zone income. And then finally, what's your big swinging, income stream? Your wealthy zone income. And then 2 key features in the next 12 months. What's a selfish purchase that you're going to make for just you? Can't be a family vacation. Can't be buying my wife a diamond ring. It's got to be for you, because if you don't have hunger and you want to shop at Kohl's for the rest of your life, it's probably not a job for you. It is a money performance driven experience. And then the second thing is a benchmark that once you hit it, you can never go backwards. Mine in 2019 was I don't like flying. I'm not really scared of it. I just hate the whole process. It negates your whole day. So if I'm going to fly first class now. But in 2019, I was like, I would never fly coach again, never fly coach again. And since COVID, I have never been in coach. And that's just my thing. Some people are like, why would you waste your money? That's what I like to spend my money on. But once you hit that benchmark, you can never go backwards. And then after 2, 3, 5, 10 years in the business, your life is elevated to another level because you hit all these benchmarks. So if you want every first of the month, hit that. And I'll share a quick story. January of 2025, right? My expenses for ATIG was my wealthy zone income in like 2019.
Okay.
So I am spending what I wished I would have made 4 or 5 years ago.
That's so full circle.
Watching it elevate is sick.
That's so full circle. That's awesome. I love that strategy. And that's a nugget. That's something that you got to take away from this. And you do a good job too of reminding. It's so quick. You take a picture when you're like flying first class and it's like, I always, because in my head, I knew that was the answer that you were going to, but I just had to hold out for the listeners. But you also then it's like a little mini celebration every time you take one of those photos.
100%.
I know you're in a first class seat. I see where you're at, so that's great. And such a good exercise to not only evaluate. I love the personal spending because there's so many people, whether they're in sales or not in sales. I don't even care if you're in sales or you're in this industry, but they spend more than they have. So you're kind of also giving like a personal coaching in finance. Like, hey, like maybe you got to turn it down a notch or you got to sell more. I mean, if you want to be that. So I love that. I love that strategy. That's so great for you to share. So yeah, I guess what is your, for those listening, what is your non-negotiable? What is something that you've been wanting that you can't afford? And then what is something that you want and you'll never go back? That's a real
question. So the benchmark was a pool. That was last year. Now I have one in ground.
I know you do. Yeah.
A whole new fucking house to get it. But I have the pool now. Benchmark going forward into 2026 is 30 hours a week of optimized time. And I broke it down very specifically in I'm not getting my own groceries anymore. I'm not doing dry cleaning. I'm not picking up coffee. I'm going to hire that executive assistant just because time value of money, friends and family and whatever call it bougie. If you're worth $600, $700, $800, $1,000 an hour, you bet your ass you should not pick up your own groceries. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
You get to a point in that success, and that's where like I always think about like a personal driver, right? How much, that's like
holy shit.
But I think sometimes you get to a point. I'm going to make that I'll make that my 3-year goal, but that would be cool. I like driving. It's like, but then you enjoy driving. I don't know. But for those, you could figure out a different avenue that you want to pursue, but it comes to a point regardless, whether it's groceries, personal drivers, it's getting back time because you're so successful. The only thing you're not able to keep is that time. So making sure you have, I like that. So it was 30 hours a week of.
Yeah, I want to offload 30 hours a week of shit that I'm absolutely wasting time doing.
Understood. And that's such a great goal. Because then what can Pete do with those 30 hours? And, what would you break that time down? I would hope that, a little decompression time, some things you enjoy, pickleball,
so bad at relaxing.
Yeah,
Horrible.
me
My
too.
relaxation is like getting in a racquetball court for 2 hours or pickleball or rock
Yeah,
climbing,
yeah,
which is like
yeah.
counterintuitive. I don't meditate or any of that shit. I'm just
I know.
so split time. I would say in 3 parts for 30 hours, 10 hours a week of me time. Like I go to the gym still and I play pickleball, but like I'm still thinking about work when I'm on the
Yeah.
court. Like that. I don't want that. So can I get 10 hours of personal use time? Can I add 10 more hours of family time?
Hmm.
Because we none of us get enough of that. Like I was
That's
thinking
true.
about spending time with my daughter this week, and it was like I literally get you for an hour and a half a day, like in the morning,
Yeah,
at night, and then you go into bed. Like that shit sucks.
yeah.
So making sure I could devote time, especially on the weekends, of 10 extra hours of family time, and then 10 extra hours of execution time. If I
Hmm.
know I can make two, three, $4,000 an hour, if I'm out there going to solicit relationships or big clients or whatever, why wouldn't I pay to get that time back? And I'm actually
Absolutely.
doing a September challenge for myself of I'm calling it your call your shot or shoot your shot September. And I'm doing a little ATIG contest that I'm announcing later today. But
Okay.
my goal is 300,000 of personal commissions earned for the month of September.
Ooh.
I want to show somebody that you can make $10,000 a day in this
Yeah.
business.
And you're personally going to produce that.
I'm personally no
See,
overrides.
now this has to be rewound to the point that I make. I mean, you don't provide, marching orders. You're doing it because you know what that's going to motivate your entire team when they see that.
Mhm.
So it's like if Pete, and I wonder, they look up to you and that's great, but it's like when you actually can say that, I'm going to do this and I'm going to hit the goal. Why can't you? Then turn it around. You guys can do this too. That's great. What is your thought? So with your space, I just wanted to take some time to make sure that the listeners got their head wrapped around your answer for this because PNC leads suck. They suck. They're so bad. We don't buy them. We used to. They suck. Horrible retention. It seems like your industry, the benefit side, and they're more favorable. And a lot of people push. There are even these lead companies that just get leads and sell these leads. How have you approached the lead situation? Do you still buy leads? What are your thoughts on leads in the benefit space?
So personally, if unless I'm proving a point, like I wrote like 140 grand off of a $6,700 lead spend a couple Junes ago, like that's cute.
Mhm.
But I haven't bought a lead in like 8 years, maybe 7
Yeah,
years. Just because I don't need to, and I had all these referrals. But I think here is the optimal progression of infancy in this business to where I'm at today. You have to buy leads in the beginning because it is your lifeblood if you're in the life and health space. If you want to make 3, 4, 5 grand a year as a part-time side hustle, maybe you don't need it. But like if
Mhm.
you're not making at least 10K a month in this full time, something's wrong. And usually it stems from, I don't want to swipe my credit card.
Yeah,
So buy leads, but buy them in order to get referrals. When I wanted to drop my CPAs, my cost per acquisitions, I thought of leads as the inventory to get more referrals because my referrals closed at a 50% higher rate of return than my leads did. So I
got
didn't
it.
really give a shit if my leads closed or not. Could I get one or two people referred to from said lead? And then after a while, your leads turn into more marketing than lead segments. Case in point, we do a lot of seminars, financial
Mhm.
wellness for annuities, for Social Security, for long-term care, for Medicare. I wouldn't necessarily now, my cost per lead on that is $133 to get a butt in a seat for a dinner seminar. But I wouldn't call those transactional leads because there's 3 phases of closing them. And all in all, my cost per acquisition to get a $289,000 annuity is less than $1,000. So
Got it.
it turns more into marketing strategy than it does leads. And then finally, and I'm almost there, but like from a personal production standpoint, like I never need a lead again. I have probably 10, 12,000 referrals on an Excel spreadsheet that
Mhm.
eventually have to get filtered into the RMS now. That if I didn't have a pot to piss in and I lost everything tomorrow, hopefully that never happens, I could go personal produce on that lead sheet and not
Yep.
use a credit card or anything. So
Yep.
you got to kind of just, again, be self-aware and look at what stage of the business you're at and then what you have to spend to get to that next stage because it just takes money. That's
Absolutely. And my big takeaways from that are leads are a means to an end, right? To build your brand, to get your
Mhm.
name out there. But then also knowing the numbers. I mean, Pete just broke down exactly the cost per acquisition, the numbers. Understand what you're buying and understand, what your close ratio is and understand, are you able to get multiple products out of this down the line? and kind of double dip on that cost per acquisition. And then bringing up some form of, there's so many out there right now, some form of RMS, some form of system where you can feed them in, come up with email campaigns, come up with text prompts, come up with remarketing this purchase that you have. So you answered it the way that I thought. In your space, it's kind of a lifeblood when you first start. You need it. But I think the true agents who have grown and have scaled are usually lead, haven't bought a lead in like 8 years, like you said. So that's good. It's good to hear.
To your point too, like, let's say usually I recommend new agents come into this space with $3,000 to $5,000. If you don't have $3,000 to $5,000, you should probably not start a business, because that's what you're still doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I see all this, and I'll name drop, I don't give a shit. WFG, PHP, Primerica, dude, they don't have leads. They have shit comp. And these people are all over social media going live, talking about term life and IULs and whole life. Dude, if you want to do that, go for it. You're either spending time or you're spending money, but you got to spend something. But if ultimately you want to do it from a content-driven standpoint, technically you're still paying for leads. You're just paying with, facial time versus actually swiping your credit card. Yeah,
this is real talk, Pete. Drop them all down there so everyone knows. But listen, Pete, we're kind of narrowing down. We have a little bit of time left. Is there anything we didn't touch on that you wanted to promote? I want this platform to work for you as much as possible. I appreciate you coming on. So is there anything in ATIG or anything you've been wanting to really get any of the listeners or any of the word out on social about?
I two things. One, from a mental capacity standpoint, because I don't want to shit on anybody making like 50, 60, 70 grand a year, but like, if you're doing it, you're doing it consistently, and this job is stressing you out, like, go work at Target. Like, it's way too stressful of an opportunity to not want to make 100, 200, 300, 400 grand a year. Right. But you're going to have pitfalls. And I had my own for about 20 months. Just know that if you're in a scenario where like, you don't have that much money, your leads are sucking, you didn't close the deal for the next 10 days, whatever. In terms of your overall career, it's a blip. Like, that 20-month span over 15 years, not really a lot of time. It's like 7% or whatever the hell it is, breaks down of my total career. So just stay focused, knowing that it's like working a job. If you worked at Microsoft, hopefully you'd be there for 35 years. Well, hugely you're going to be in the insurance industry for 35 years. And that 12 months of hell is not that big of a deal. So that's one. Mental capacity is hugely important. Step two, if you're not developing a Swiss Army knife approach, either internally within your agency or with mutually exclusive partners like Jay and I have, like, you're going to get phased out, dude. AI is going to come and just destroy you. If you're just selling term, just selling final expense, just selling ACA, just selling, because consumers don't want transactions anymore. They could go online to do that. They want a relationship-driven space as well. And if you're not the end-all, be-all, or at least 75 to 80% of all of their needs, or can go find it, and that means other things. Like, I get calls all the time. I need a will. I need a trust. I need an S-corp set up. Don't worry, I got you. I got a guy for fucking everything. Don't worry about it. If you are not that person, 5 to 7 years from now, your job will not exist.
Agreed. And it's real. It's coming. The AI wave. Pete and I have, been on calls. I've tried to make as many connections as possible with some of these companies that are coming out of the woodwork and staying ahead of the curve. Don't be afraid of it. It's going to happen one way or the other. Make yourself that Swiss Army knife. The one thing AI can't do, and I know that this is true, everyone says it, is build relationships. It's a robot, it's a machine, but the relationships that Pete and I have, the ability that when Pete's next time's in Jersey, we're going to break bread and we're going to have a cigar, and that those are the moments. That's honestly why I love what I do, and that's why I love selling business insurance at REMCO. I love the business owner. I am obsessed with the business owner, the backbone of America, the small mom and pop. I love it. I also love insuring them, but I love going to these places, showing my face, trying to spotlight them in every way possible. I'll be honest with you. I don't really like home and auto buyers. I don't. My uncle pretty much dropped me for $10 savings a month, and I don't think I'm going to invite him to Thanksgiving. So I don't, they're not loyal, they're not loyal. So shout out, to those agents out there that are selling it. It is an important product. Just be leery of the tech that's coming. If you don't know commercial or you need an outlet, please reach out to me at REMCO. We have some really amazing agents in 38 states. We're happy to write it on a national level. And if you need benefits on a national level, Pete's your guy. ATIG's amazing. I can't wait for October to hit, because that'll be 1 year, and I'm going to ring some bell or drink some drink or smoke some cigar or buy some watch. I don't know. But listen, Pete, I appreciate our relationship. I appreciate you taking the time to be on the podcast. I hope nothing but the best for you, and we'll talk soon. And thanks again.
Here, man. Appreciate you.